General Hospital spoilers for Wednesday, April 30th tease that Nina, after all the turmoil and personal pain she has endured, no longer seems to be the weak woman who cowers in the face of adversity. Instead, Nina has quietly transformed into a calculating individual, one who knows how to seize every opportunity to turn the tide, and this time, she has chosen to approach Drew as a way to both seek revenge for past injustices and assert control over her own life. It's not just a moment of weakness or fleeting attraction. Nina is setting up an affair trap with deliberate intent, slowly drawing Drew into a moral and emotional whirlwind. Nina's plan is not impulsive, it's a series of calculated and purposeful moves. She creates intimate situations, showing up at the exact moments when Drew is most vulnerable, subtly planting in his mind the feeling of being understood, shared, and attracted. Gradually, Nina leads Drew into a fierce internal struggle between duty, love, and the desire to escape the pressures of everyday life. As Drew begins to waver, Nina intensifies her provocation, using her own pain as an excuse to justify every action, while erecting a wall of secrecy around their relationship. What's even more terrifying is that Nina's risky game doesn't stop with just the two of them, it tears apart the previously peaceful lives of those around them. Willow, who once trusted Drew and even hoped for Nina's friendliness, now begins to feel strange and unsettling changes in her surroundings. She's torn between jealousy, fear of loss, and the sense of being deceived. Despite not having concrete proof, Willow's doubts eat away at her, pushing her to the brink of impulsive actions. Even ready to confront Nina or dig into the secrets she suspects are not right. This event becomes a huge shock to the Port Charles community. As rumors and gossip spread from the hospital halls to cafes, bakeries, and places where Nina, Drew, Willow, and others once considered their safe zones, every small detail is scrutinized. Relationships become increasingly tense, distant, or even confrontational. No one can remain calm enough to preserve their peaceful facade. Especially when those who once loved each other now fall into a whirlpool of jealousy, suspicion, and pain. Meanwhile, Nina herself begins to realize that she's becoming obsessed with the dangerous game she set in motion. Sleepless nights. Moments of unease every time she catches the scrutinizing eyes of those around her, or whenever Drew shows signs of anxiety, Nina oscillates between confidence and fear. She feels like a winner in a psychological game, yet worries whether she's about to lose everything, her reputation, relationships, and even the small amount of love she has left. Drew, once a calm man, is now plunged into an unprecedented internal crisis. He can't completely let go of his personal values, yet he cannot resist the allure of what Nina offers: empathy, relief, and a dangerous new form of affection. Drew's torment becomes more apparent in his expressions, actions, and decisions, leaving his loved ones increasingly worried and suspicious. And as a natural consequence, the chain of tragedies escalates. Willow, who thought she could only lose Drew, now faces the risk of losing her peace, trust in her loved ones, and her ability to open up to anyone else. Nina faces isolation from the community, with subtle, revenge tactics, cold stares, and whispers behind her back. Drew is caught in an inescapable whirlwind, trapped between two opposing worlds, where no matter what choice he makes, someone will always be hurt, and he may even lose himself. All these events are tightly interwoven, signaling a new disaster for Port Charles, not just the collapse of a relationship, but a domino effect that destroys the trust chain, shatters community values, and leaves deep, indelible scars. Nina's affair trap with Drew is no longer a small scandal, it's becoming a shocking focal point, where no one can predict the outcome. And no one knows who will be left with their heart intact after all the shocks, obsessions, and tragedies. Lulu is facing a strong emotional wave as she becomes the target of Alexis's wrath, someone who has always been determined to protect her family at all costs, and now has become even tougher, even colder, to ensure Molly's increasingly clear interests. As the conflicts and secrets within the Davis family are continually exposed, Molly is no longer the submissive, weak girl she once was. The maturity and desire to protect herself have made Molly actively fight for her voice and position in every key decision of the family, as well as in matters concerning her personal future. This change is like a wave sweeping away old compromises, and Lulu, who has always been driven by emotions and close relationships, feels this shift through every cold glance or suggestive remark from Alexis. What makes the situation even more tense and complicated is that Molly not only demands reasonable changes but also becomes the new center of power, leading to a chain reaction of shifts within the family dynamics. Lulu, once a steady figure in family events, is now pushed to the sidelines, facing the risk of isolation, surveillance, suspicion, and even mental pressure from her own family and those who once supported her. Alexis, under pressure to protect Molly from every storm, doesn't hesitate to use drastic measures, ready to push Lulu into difficult situations if she feels that any of Lulu's actions could jeopardize Molly's safety and interests. The situation becomes even more tangled when Cody appears as a powerful catalyst, altering the dynamics and psychology of everyone involved. Cody is not only privy to many important secrets, but also at the heart of a series of complex events that bind Molly and Lulu together through risks and obsessions never experienced before. Molly, with newfound power and determination, even uses every relationship to control and steer the storyline in her favor, ready to place Lulu in a passive position or force her to make tough choices just to preserve what she's built. Lulu, trying to stay calm and maintain her dignity, becomes more deeply entangled in the psychological whirlpool surrounding her. She must tread carefully around Alexis's reactions, fear becoming the outsider, and anxiety that Cody might expose secrets that would make her lose everything. The obsession with danger grows as each new event involving Cody and Molly could become a springboard for a series of tragedies, rifts, and even the collapse of relationships that were once thought to be unbreakable. The pressure from society, the Port Charles community, and even within the family forces Lulu to live in a state of constant vigilance, even spiraling into confusion as she is forced to choose between self-protection or sacrifice for the greater good. The increasingly noticeable shifts in Molly's role and character, along with Alexis's decisive attitude, have triggered a complex psychological chain reaction not only for Lulu but for the entire family. Every character is forced to readjust their behavior, relationships, and even trust, to adapt to a new, volatile reality. In this context, Molly rises as a powerful force, while Lulu must learn to survive, maintain her identity amidst unprecedented storms, and the haunting shadows of both the past and present. What Cody holds, and the choices he makes, are now the key to unlocking a series of dramatic developments, pushing relationships to their greatest challenges ever. Above all, the psychological changes, the shift in power, and these new obsessions signal that the story between Molly, Lulu, Alexis, and Cody will explode in a complex and unpredictable way, with countless emotions and consequences in Port Charles. Willow returns to Port Charles after a period of living and working in Germany, carrying with her many emotions and a far greater sense of maturity compared to when she left. Her time away gave Willow the opportunity to reflect on the past, better recognize her emotional wounds, her deep desires, and the limitations she had imposed on herself for so long. Returning to a familiar place, Willow realizes that everything has changed. The old spaces are filled with turmoil, and she herself has entered a different mental state, calm, composed, and more proactive in every decision she makes. Her return is not just a simple homecoming, but a starting point for a series of major adjustments in her life. Willow knows well that the issues between her and Michael existed long before she left, but it wasn't until her time in Germany, amid loneliness and deep reflection, that she dared to name those rifts. Because of this, when she returns, Willow is mentally prepared to face Michael, hoping they can have an open conversation and find a solution for the future. However, the meeting she awaited does not happen. The reason could be Michael, who is not ready to confront reality. Or perhaps Willow herself recognizes that both of them need time and space to heal. The rejection of this meeting creates a massive chain reaction in Willow's psyche. She is stunned, heartbroken, and somewhat disillusioned, but above all, she understands that this is the moment she needs to adjust her approach to life. Willow realizes that waiting and depending on her relationship with Michael no longer holds the same meaning as it once did. She bravely accepts change, beginning to take control of her future and her own growth, rather than letting emotions and fate carry her along as before. Willow plans to rebuild everything from scratch. She spends her free time learning more, exploring new career fields, reconnecting with old friends she had distanced herself from or missed in the past. In Willow's mind now, the future is not just about romance, but also full of choices regarding her career, community activities, and even personal projects she had once feared she didn't have the courage to pursue. This adjustment slowly helps Willow create a new image in the eyes of her friends, family, and the Port Charles community, a woman who is self-sufficient, resilient, and ready to protect the control of her own happiness. Of course, these changes do not come easily. Willow's proactivity surprises many, and some of her loved ones worry about her. Some old relationships begin to fracture due to a lack of common ground, while others find themselves inspired by Willow's determination. Michael, although saddened and conflicted, is forced to reassess his role in Willow's life and consider whether he has the courage to change, mature, and fight to keep her or let her go. This story opens the door to new challenges, opportunities, and confrontations that Willow will have to face. By proactively adjusting her thoughts and actions, refusing to be bound by the past or ambiguous relationships, Willow asserts her position not just within her family but also in the wider Port Charles community. This change resonates powerfully, impacting everyone who has been part of Willow's life, forcing them to reassess themselves, learn to mature, and adjust as well. Ultimately, Willow's return from Germany is not just the story of a reunion, but the beginning of a new journey. A journey of change, growth, self-sufficiency, and readiness to face whatever lies ahead in the future. Her firm decisions and active will to control her life have created a wave of change, making her a role model for modern women and setting the stage for upcoming developments in Port Charles, where even the smallest adjustments can alter the course of a larger story. Laura and Curtis are entering a rare period of collaboration, standing at a new front in the battle against the underground crime simmering within Port Charles. After weeks of quietly gathering information, taking notes, and analyzing every clue, the two decide to sit together, go through their notes, and compare a series of events linked to Ezra and Drew, two names that have already begun to haunt the community due to their boldness and the sophistication of their recent criminal plots. The atmosphere during every comparison session between Laura and Curtis is tense and suffocating. Laura brings years of experience in facing various enemies, sharp judgment, and rare calmness to this collaboration. Curtis, with his background as a former private investigator and his extensive connections both in official and underground circles, provides a sharp perspective, able to connect seemingly unrelated details and unveil a vast conspiracy map. They see in each other not only teammates but also real strategic partners. The information and documents they share slowly reveal the severity of the crimes committed by Ezra and Drew. Shadowy financial transactions, mysterious intermediaries, testimonies from victims previously ignored, strange disappearances tied to the actions of these two masterminds. All of these pieces together form a picture that shows these are not isolated incidents, but part of a larger, organized conspiracy with financial backing and power far beyond anything Port Charles has ever seen. As the clues begin to align, Laura and Curtis realize that it is no longer possible to continue waiting or reacting as if they were cleaning up the aftermath. It is during these note comparisons that counterattack strategies begin to form. Curtis proposes expanding the investigative network, reaching out to fringe sources, and even embedding operatives within Ezra and Drew's trusted circles to gather solid evidence. Laura maximizes her influence in the community, not only quietly encouraging past victims to speak up but also using the media and her network of allies to create public pressure, leaving criminals with no safe hiding place. Every step is carefully considered by Laura and Curtis, as they must maintain secrecy while remaining prepared for potential risks, knowing that Ezra and Drew will not stay still in the face of exposure. Retaliations and sudden reversals could come at any time, especially since these criminals have shown no hesitation in harming anyone who stands in their way. But in this partnership, Laura and Curtis show their steel resolve, determination, Seamless coordination, using offense as defense, and truth as the strongest weapon. It is no longer just about solving a case. Laura and Curtis have truly opened a new phase of counterattacks, raising the battle against crime in Port Charles to a whole new level. The shift in their approach, from defense to proactive offense and exposure, creates a powerful wave of change, causing the opposition to falter and revealing more vulnerabilities than before. Their partnership is not only an inspiration to the community but also a declaration of war against Ezra, Drew, and anyone who dares to disrupt the order of Port Charles. The days ahead promise a series of breathless events, with many secrets on the verge of being exposed, alliances, betrayals, and unexpected costs. If Laura and Curtis succeed with this new counterattack strategy, not only will Ezra and Drew's crimes be brought to light, but Port Charles will also turn a new page, one where justice, righteousness, and the courage of those who know how to face challenges and turn the tide, will light the way for the entire community. Brennan, a man of cunning and calculation, currently holds an important theory that he believes will completely change the game in Port Charles. With a calm demeanor and a hint of mystery, Brennan approaches Carly, a woman known for her sharp intuition and her ability to see through hidden motives. As Carly begins to ask increasingly deeper questions about Brennan's movements, past, and true intentions, he does not choose to evade or shift the blame to circumstances. On the contrary, Brennan actively suggests sharing a new truth. A theory that sounds very plausible and that he knows will appeal to Carly's curiosity and caution. The story Brennan paints is not only captivating, but he skillfully plants numerous details that are just enough of a blend of truth and falsehood, mixed with personal secrets and potential dangers. Brennan cleverly weaves in highly plausible pieces of information, using events that have happened in Port Charles, familiar faces, which causes Carly to be startled by the convincing nature of the new narrative. Each explanation, every hypothesis Brennan offers makes Carly feel as if she's just been enlightened, yet drawn deeper into a maze of information where the line between truth and lies, friend and foe, becomes blurred and unpredictable. However, behind this facade, Brennan is actually manipulating Carly's emotions and steering her investigation. He is not merely sharing a theory to prove his own innocence but aims to fully control the rhythm of their conversation, guiding Carly down a path he has already planned. Brennan knows that half-truths combined with half-mysteries are the most powerful tools to dissipate Carly's suspicion, creating a persistent obsession that forces Carly to question whether she's being overly paranoid. Thus, each new detail Brennan reveals not only seeks to extinguish initial doubts but also opens deeper layers of suspicion, making Carly constantly question herself and return to investigate the roots she thought she had already firmly grasped. Carly, although experienced in dealing with the trickery of Port Charles's underworld, begins to feel uneasy and disoriented by the complexity and creativity of the scenario Brennan has created. She becomes both the hunter and the hunted, at the center of a secretive whirlwind where every step could lead to a serious mistake. This new development not only pulls Carly into a prolonged state of obsession, fear, and doubt, but it also spreads throughout the surrounding community. Those who have witnessed the semi-friendly, semi-adversarial relationship between Brennan and Carly are now growing cautious, as they don't know if Brennan is genuinely helping Carly, or if he's the mastermind behind a series of shocks and unexpected events that could explode at any moment in Port Charles. Each time Brennan shares a new piece of his theory, it pushes Carly and the entire city closer to unresolved mysteries. Brennan's proactive, intelligent, and dangerous approach makes him an unpredictable figure. He could be an ally, or he could be a formidable enemy. For Carly, this is an unprecedented challenge, forcing her to utilize all her analytical skills, intuition, and courage to face an adversary who is a psychological equal. The unfolding story between Brennan and Carly marks the beginning of a new chapter in their battle of wits, where truth and lies, trust and betrayal are intricately intertwined, capable of creating a series of haunting events and cascading shocks of increasing scale in Port Charles. The community is not only waiting to see how Carly will proceed, but also holding its breath to see how far Brennan will take things, as a misleading theory could very well be the spark for the next disaster.